it's Bretta from runprofit.com. In my last few videos, I spoke in depth about why you should ditch your ambitious commitment to pre-run static stretching. And what static stretching is when you hold a stretch for 15 to 30 seconds and more. But the proof is in the scientific research showing that pre-run static stretching will not make you more efficient during running and certainly will not insulate you from running injuries. In fact, pre-run static stretching can actually complicate your running performance. On that note, today I will be doing a part 3 discussion as to why you should completely avoid static stretching before you run. And I always like to begin by emphasizing to new forefoot runners that it's perfectly natural to get sore calf muscles or to get sore ankles in the early stages of learning forefoot running, because in forefoot running, the ankles and the calves are actually more mechanically engaged than they are in heel strike running. So this is why the temporary ankle and calf muscle sore tenderness or tightness might be expected to a new forefoot runner or to a new minimalist runner or to a new barefoot runner. With that said, many runners have the habit of stretching very aggressively before they run in order to alleviate muscle soreness or muscle tightness or tenderness. But I really want to reaffirm that pre-run static stretching can do more harm than good. Let me mention some more studies that weigh in on why pre-run static stretching is a defining threat for running performance. For instance, a 2012 study in the Japanese Journal of Clinical Sports and Medicine, which I will link below, the study investigated the effects of muscle tightness in the lower back as well as in the lower legs on running motion in 543 runners. And the researchers found that the runners with tight hamstrings and tight calf muscles outperformed way better than the runners who stretched. The researchers found that the non-stretch runners were more economical because the tight runners had a more efficient propulsive phase of their running stride. Therefore, if certain muscle groups in your legs are tight and remain unstretched, you move toward better running economy. And this research is actually in line with some basic conclusions in other studies showing that pre-run static stretching is no good for bolstering running performance. So let's examine exactly how stretching certain muscle groups or certain muscle fibers and tendons may reduce the capacity of certain muscle tendon units to contribute to better running economy. If you look at how stretching may actually change the spring behavior of the lower leg tendons or muscles, stretching does exactly what stretching does. It stretches the tendons and muscles, making them less tense, less tightly compressible, which may end up impeding or reducing their spring behavior as you run. As a result, you get less efficient boing in your stride. And if you take a tight spring and you constantly pull it and constantly stretch it out, it loosens the spring. And with that, you get reduced spring compression. The Achilles tendon, for example, may not load properly with elastic energy if you constantly stretch it out before you run. So in the end, it will end up making less elastic contributions because you don't get that strong, tight recoil and responsiveness in your stride when you stretch too much before you run. That in turn may cause the tendons to store less potential energy, which is the kind of energy that you really want to get lots of when you run, to run with the utmost efficiency. So certain muscles and tendons of the lower leg make the best efforts and contributions in elastic energy, which translates into a more efficient running stride if you don't stretch certain muscle groups and tendons before you go running. Static stretching reduces the elastic energy sources within the lower leg, so the lower leg tendons and certain muscle fibers are never fully able to engage effectively in storing and releasing elastic or potential energy needed for good running economy. So don't undermine your running performance by stretching aggressively, statically before you run, because the research should be obvious to everyone that you will always be much more efficient and even stronger when you don't stretch the hell out of yourself before you go running. If you need more convincing that pre-run static stretching increases your physical vulnerability during running and is an overall risky choice, I will link below another excellent article that discusses how pre-run static stretching is very burdensome on your running performance. For more information regarding the proper biomechanics of running, please visit my blog, runforfeit.com. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay updated on the latest research regarding forefoot strike running and heel strike running, as well as barefoot running versus running in shoes or shod running. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Have fun out there on the roads. Bye for now.